The third generation Toyota Tundra has had quite a few issues since it came out for 2022, ranging from complete engine failure to fit and finish problems. But have these problems been addressed? In this video, I'll tell you about the most common issues and whether or not they've been addressed for 2025. And watch until the end, because there's one important reason you might want to hold off buying one until 2026. One of the biggest complaints about the third gen Tundra was excessive wind noise coming from the driver and passenger windows. A lot of owners said it sounded like the window was cracked open, even when it was fully closed. Some even noticed the window rattling inside the door because it was so loose, which only made the noise worse and made the entire truck feel like a rattle box. At highway speeds, that constant whistling and rushing air got pretty annoying, and it wasn't just a problem in 2022. It stuck around for 2023 and maybe even 2024. Dealers didn't really know how to fix it either. They'd slap on some kind of tape or adhesive that looked like something off Amazon to try and stiffen up the rubber gaskets, but the results were hit or miss. The 2025 Tundra, though, doesn't seem to have that issue. There's no wind noise coming from the windows at all, and Toyota clearly tightened up the seals for a much better fit, at least in this truck. On top of that, wind and road noise in general are really well controlled, making the cabin feel a lot quieter and more comfortable than before. Whether you're cruising on the highway or just driving around town, the improved insulation over previous models makes a big difference, giving the truck a high quality and luxurious feel. A lot of Tundra owners have dealt with the plastic trim on the side of the driver's seat cracking, and what's frustrating is that it doesn't seem to be from just getting in and out of the truck. Plenty of people knew about the issue ahead of time and went out of their way to be careful, lifting themselves up, avoiding putting too much weight on it, yet their seat trim still ended up cracking anyway. It wasn't just a case of rough use, even the most cautious owners were having the same problem. Toyota eventually updated the part to make it stronger, and while that's helped, it hasn't completely fixed the issue. Some owners who got the new version still saw it crack again later on, in a different spot. So, while it's definitely an improvement, it's not completely solid. I haven't had any problems with mine yet. I do try to use the handle and the running boards to step over the seat as much as possible, as I've always done, mostly to avoid wear on the cushions and the leather. The broken seats do seem to be less common, so the updated part is definitely an improvement, even though it's not a complete fix. One of the most annoying issues with the third generation Tundra was the radio volume knob randomly falling off, even with light use. Owners weren't yanking on it or being rough, it would just pop off during normal use, sometimes only after a few months after getting the truck. This was a pretty common problem in the 2022, 2023, and early 2024 models, and it became one of the more talked about complaints about the new Tundra. Because so many people were dealing with this, a bunch of aftermarket replacement knobs started showing up on Amazon and eBay. Some owners swapped theirs out for these sturdier options, while others went to the dealer to get it replaced under warranty. The problem was that Toyota kept replacing it with the same weak part, so a lot of people had it break multiple times. The good news is that Toyota finally updated the part in 2024 after a few years of production, so trucks built after that should have a stronger knob that doesn't just fall off randomly. If you've got an earlier model though, it might still be worth checking out an aftermarket option unless Toyota offers a replacement under warranty, but now many models are no longer under warranty, so they'll be on their own to replace the part. Some of the earlier third-gen Toyota Tundras had major engine problems, and according to Toyota, it was because of machining debris left inside the engine block during production. In other words, a lack of quality control. That metal debris ended up circulating throughout the engine, clogging oil passages, and eventually causing total engine failure. Toyota recalled many of the 2022 and 2023 non-hybrid models to address the issue, but the trouble didn't stop there. Some hybrid models also had failures, despite not being recalled as of yet, and even the 2024 models weren't completely safe. Toyota never made a big announcement about it, but they did quietly update an engine part in early 2024. Coincidence or not, that's about when the engine failures started to disappear in newer models. Because of this, it's believed that the Tundras built before this date, basically early 2024 and older, could still be at risk for engine failure, whether or not they're on the recall list, while trucks built after this should be fine. With that being said, we've seen this story before. The 2022 and 2023 trucks seemed fine at first, but as they started racking up miles, the problems became more and more common. So while it looks like Toyota fixed the issue, there's always a chance we'll see more failures down the road. Toyota says that the problem was due to debris inside the engine or lack of quality control, but that leaves the question, why did they update the engine in early 2024? Hopefully the updated part actually solved the problem and quality control has been addressed, but we won't know for sure until these trucks have been on the road for a while. Some Tundra owners have reported issues with the gas pedal feeling unresponsive or inconsistent when accelerating from a stop. It's like you press the pedal to pull out into traffic, but the truck hesitates or doesn't go right away. Sometimes, you have to push down way farther than usual to get it moving, while other times, it reacts normally. This kind of unpredictability can be pretty nerve-wracking, especially when you're trying to merge into fast-moving traffic and aren't sure if the truck is going to respond the way it should. Some people were so frustrated with the issue and worried that it would put them in dangerous situations that they ended up selling their trucks. This isn't a new issue. It's actually been a complaint across various Toyota and Lexus models for years. For some reason, Toyota has struggled to get the throttle response dialed in perfectly, and it's unclear why this problem keeps popping up. There is a TSB addressing the issue, but it's one of those things that should resolve the problem, but it doesn't always work. Some owners have reported improvements after getting the fix, while others say it didn't make much of a difference. This doesn't seem to be an issue with this 2025 model. The gas pedal feels predictable and responsive, with none of that hesitation or inconsistent behavior. A lot of people have knocked the interior quality of these trucks, saying they kind of feel cheap with too much plastic and not enough refinement. A big part of the criticism comes from stuff like the radio knob that tends to fall off, or the seat trim that doesn't hold up well over time. While I get why some owners are frustrated, my experience has been pretty different. While it's true that this isn't a high-end, luxury interior, that doesn't mean it's bad by any means. In fact, I find it to be pretty nice overall. The materials might lean more towards the utilitarian side, but they feel mostly durable, and the overall construction seems solid and well assembled. The quality of the fit and finish is reasonable, with mostly tight-fitting panels and trim. I'd say the interior quality falls somewhere in the middle compared to other full-size trucks. Not the best, but definitely not the worst. However, the overall design is modern, well thought out, and in my opinion, better than pretty much all of the competition. One area that definitely needs improvement is the center console. Not only does it feel cheap and flimsy, but it also has an annoying tendency to squeak and rattle, even with the slightest pressure on the armrest. This has been a common complaint, and it's frustrating that such a frequently used part of the interior wasn't designed with a little more thought. It seems like Toyota attempted a quick fix by adding some felt tape on the inside, but unfortunately, it doesn't do much, if anything, to solve the issue. The result is a console that feels cheaply put together and detracts from the overall interior feel and driving experience. If Toyota used a more substantial console, like what was in the second generation and all other trucks, the entire interior would feel a lot nicer. This is one problem they made little to no attempt to fix. Another small letdown is the door seals. The rubber trim is pretty uneven and feels loose when you touch it. On top of that, you can clearly see the exterior paint in spots where it usually wouldn't be so noticeable. Aside from these two obvious shortcomings, I haven't personally experienced any of those common issues that some owners have reported. From my perspective, this interior is more than adequate with mostly nice materials and mostly solid build quality. Some of the earlier models had issues with the turbo wastegate, which is a key part of making the turbo work properly. If the wastegate fails, the whole turbo has to be replaced. Owners would get a warning light on their dash saying there's reduced power. The problem could pop up at 200 miles, 20,000 miles, or really any time. This was due to a bad supplier, so Toyota switched to a different one, and there have been way fewer issues since. Toyota does seem to have addressed most of the problems since this generation Tundra came out, which is expected since they're into their 4th year of production. If you're thinking about buying a new one, you might want to wait for 2026, because Toyota is supposedly facelifting the truck. We don't know what the updates will include, but they'll probably be mostly cosmetic. Maybe a slightly different grille design, or different interior and exterior color options. Most of the issues with the early 3rd-gen Tundras seem to have been worked out. Interior parts have been updated, engine problems appear to have been addressed as of early 2024, and overall, these issues are becoming less and less common. It's probably not going to last as long as the old Tundra, but with how complex new trucks are getting, it's only natural that more things will break over time. At the end of the day, all new trucks come with their own set of problems, but it seems like most of the issues have been resolved for 2025.